Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. Welcome to Floating in Dreams. This is my makeup decluttering series for 2022. So let's get started. Welcome if you're new here. Welcome if you're a returning visitor. Thank you so very much for joining me today. Yes, we are doing my annual makeup decluttering series. I like doing this once a year as a bit of spring cleaning because my drawers just tend to overflow after a year of trying and using makeup, and I just need to get organized. If you don't know who I am, my name is Maaike. Welcome. I'm from the Netherlands and I love to try eyeshadow palettes. I love trying out Essence and Catrice products, but I also love going back to old favorites and really getting the use out of my products, use them up from time to time. Like, I really do like to not only have so many things that I can no longer get the use out of it. So that's where these declutters sort of fit into my channel and how I go about things. Now, I will be reusing this exact intro for all of these videos that I'm doing. I'm doing 5 in total, but these videos always also need a bit of a disclaimer. So bear with me as I go through these. Step 1, no, I will not be sending you any of my makeup. A lot of the things I'm getting rid of are quite old, and I would not feel good passing this on to anyone I don't know. So it's gonna go to friends or family, and that's pretty much it. Step number 2, I am not a YouTuber or blogger who receives a lot of PR. I am on PR lists, but I don't request that many things because I would like to be in control of what's coming into my collection, really. But I have been doing this for a long time, which is why I have a larger collection. But this is not going to be one of those cutthroat declutters where we get rid of like half the collection. This is not it, if that's what you're looking for. And the third step that I need to mention is the fact that I will not be swatching a whole lot of products here. I actually did collection videos leading up to this decluttering series where I did do all of those swatches. And also, if you use the search bar on this channel or on my blog, you can find reviews where I have swatches and looks up with a lot of these products because I tend to review everything I try. And I really use my blog as this like giant catalog that I can refer people to if they have questions on like multiple looks with eyeshadow palettes or anything like that. Then you can just check that out. And very often I will also have like mentioned products or shown them in videos as well. So you can always also check out the channel if you would like to see more. So without further ado, let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to declutter number 2. This is going to be my blush, bronzer, and highlighter declutter. And as you can see, we've got a lot going on, especially in like the cream and liquid department. That's where I've expanded quite a bit. I just wanted to kick off the video starting with everything in one overview. I am going to clear the deck so we can go over things a little bit more easily in a minute. I've got some face palettes in here today as well. And after today, I'm going to have 3 more declutters for you. So I've got lots more content coming your way. And I already decluttered my base product. So make sure to check that in the description box down below. So yeah, let me get organized so we can talk about stuff. So this is what's left of my face palette collection, and as you can see, I only have a few here. I really don't have that many, and there are a couple of things that I know I'm going to get rid of because I don't use all of these all that much. I always keep around the Sleek and the e.l.f. palettes because these are my favorite palettes for travel. The Sleek is the face form in Fair, so this is really nice and easy to travel with. It's got a big mirror and it's got a bronzer, blush, and highlight in. And then the e.l.f. is similar to the Sleek with pretty similar colors, but again, it's got a good sized mirror. Ooh, and then we just have an extra bronzer and contour shade in here, which the other palette doesn't have. So depending on the options I'd like, these are my 2 options. And then actually for travel, I have also been liking this Dior Backstage Face palette in the shade Universal. And this has been lovely too. So this is one that I really, really adore. So those are all going to stay. But this Anastasia palette, the Moonchild, I've always kept this around saying I use this as inner corner highlights. And that's definitely what I've been using this for. But I now have shades like this in my actual single eyeshadow collection. So I don't really feel I need this anymore. So this is going to be decluttered. And also the Laura Geller Life Glows On High Def Glow Illuminator Palette. Also the Laura Geller Life Glows On High Def Glow Illuminator Palette. I wanted to try the Laura Geller swirly highlighter formula, you could say. So that's what I did, and I liked it. I bought this off of TK Maxx, so it was an older product and it was massively discounted. So I'm happy I got to try the formula, but it's not my favorite. Of these two, I'm going to be keeping the Charlotte Tilbury because essentially the W7 is a dupe for this. However, the Charlotte Tilbury I bought in the lighter shade, so this bronzer is even better for me than the W7, and I always kept this around so that if in the end I got to try the Charlotte, I would be able to do a comparison. And in my latest like bronzer and face, no, was it in my bronzer collection? No, my highlighter collection. I also showed you my face palettes. And I did a side-by-side swatch of these shades. So if you want to see how these compare, the Wayne Goss blush palette in Azalea or Vivid Azalea. This is very intense, but it's really pretty on my fair skin. And I'm not going to get rid of the Natasha Denona palettes that I have. I have the Bronze and I have the Love Glow, which are both going to stay. Okay, so I figured we could start off with bronzers, and I'm not even sure how this even happened. I did rope in my liquid and cream bronzers right here at the bottom so that we have all of my bronzers in one giant overview. And especially in the liquid and cream bronzers, there's only a couple things that I like or that I still really want to keep around. So this Catrice one can go because, as you can see, it's just dried up and it's no good anymore. And the Catrice Holiday Skin Serum Bronzer was sadly way too orange for me, so it didn't work, so that's going to go as well. But my two favorites here are the Milk Makeup and the Made by Mitchell Blush. So a liquid and a cream, so I think that that's good. And then the Fenty Cream Bronzer is great for me as a contour. So this is that. It's in the shade Amber, yes. Oh, and the Milk Makeup, by the way, is in Baked. And the Made by Mitchell is Hollow there. And now I'm a bit torn what to do about this. What shall I do with the Bouncy Bronzer from Catrice? It is glowy, though. But I haven't also reached for this for a long time. So I think it's time for me to declutter it. So now I can bring some things to the front that were sort of hiding in the back. So let me see. These two from Catrice aren't going anywhere. These are the Holiday Skin Bronzers. I have them in both of the shades that are available. This is shade 010 Summer in the City. And this is 020 Off to the Island. And these are lovely for me. The lighter one is a great summer shade. The darker, no, winter shade. This is a great summer shade. And I have said this in my bronzer collection video. If I just could keep two bronzers in my entire collection for the entire year, would be these two. Another great discovery this year was the Christian Dior Forever Natural Bronze Bronzer in the shade 04 Tan. I really like this, so that's going to stay. And one of my all-time favorite bronzers is the Kiko, what's this called again? Flawless Fusion Bronzer in the shade 01. One of my favorite bronzers for fair skin and nicely affordable. So those are definitely going to stay. Of these Essence ones, I have 3 of them here. This is the one that I want to keep. This is the Hello Good Stuff Matte and Glow Bronzer in Cocoa Cool. This is the best bronzer Essence has ever done, and I really don't need to keep 3, so this is going to stay. But I'm going to get rid of the Sun Club Natural Glow. This was a bit too dark for me. And this is lovely. This is the Kissed by the Light highlighter, but it's in a very bronzy, glowy shade. On darker skin tones, this could work perfectly as a highlighter. On me, it was a bronzer. I liked it, but it really didn't do anything that some of my more high-end bronzers don't give me already. So I know I can get rid of this. This is very new, though. This is not a product that has been out for a long time. It just came out in their spring-summer release. So something that I like just, you know, even more than the Essence one is my Nabla Skin Glazing Bronzer in Ombre. This I love. So that's going to stay. I'm also not going to get rid of my Becca one. This is in Bali Sands. And of course Becca was discontinued, but I still love that bronzer. So I'm going to keep it. This Revol bronzer, however, I'm going to get rid of. This is the Tropical Bronzer in the shade Waikiki. a great bronzer shade for me. Don't get me wrong, it's lovely, but I want to keep this away from my face as much as possible because it has a very strong scent. This Makeup Revolution one, I now know that I can get rid of this because I actually swatched it side by side to one of my other more high-end bronzers, and I was like, oh wait, it's actually pretty much the same. So the Makeup Revolution, what's this called again? Bronzer Reloaded and Holiday Romance. I kept it around to have a baked bronzer in a very fair shade, thinking, oh, this is like the only one I can wear in the wintertime, but I now have that Catrice one that works really well, so I don't need to keep this. Let me talk about the Solar Powder from Soap & Glory. This was discontinued, but I've hit pan, so I can't get rid of this because if a product is this well loved, you just know you love it that much. So this is definitely one. Maybe at some point I can use it up, who knows. And another bronzer that I would like to hit pan on at sometime is the Take Home the Bronze bronzer from The Balm. This is in the shade Oliver. Very well used, very well loved. This is one of my favorites. And also the Fenty Beauty Stalk'r Indasun is another great one that I love. It's got a bit of heart pan over on this side, but it's got a huge dent and the embossing has completely disappeared. Not sure if you could see this hiding in the back, but we have this City bronzer from Maybelline, and I've decided I'm going to get rid of this. This was in the shade Medium Warm, and this for years was one of my favorite bronzers at the drugstore, but it's sadly no longer something that really interests me, not something that I'm really thinking of using or that I want to use because it's just not something that's really on my radar at the moment. What to talk about next? So this Kiko bronzer is lovely too. This is from their Mood Boost collection. It was a limited edition, but this is quite difficult to pick up. It's one of those like cream to powder kind of formulas, and I use a very light hand when I apply bronzer because I'm very fair skinned, even though this is a very cool toned and very light bronzer. But this, you know, if I have to keep just one Kiko bronzer, I'm going to keep the Flawless Fusion one over this. So this I'm going to declutter. Speaking of Kiko, this was part of their Precious Rituals collection, and it has a lovely embossing in the packaging here. It's really fun, but it's way too dark for me, so that's why this is gonna go. All three of these Catrice bronzers can now go because I have the Holiday Skin ones, and the Holiday Skin is a newer line, so I'm not even sure if you can get all of these. I'm pretty sure that this was limited edition. However, it is a more pinky toned one with a glow, and I don't have a lot of pink tone bronzers, so this is a maybe. But the Clean ID, like this one, I think you can still buy, but it was a bit too yellow and the undertones of the other ones are just better. And this was limited edition as well, I believe, and this was more perfect for me than this. But now that I have the Holiday Skin, I don't want to use anything else, so these can definitely go, and we'll decide about the Sungasm in a little bit just to see how much we're keeping and how much we're getting rid of. I want to keep my Charlotte Tilbury one. So this is the Airbrush Flawless Bronzer, Airbrush Bronzer in the shade Fair. And when I first started using this, like after just 1 or 2 uses, I didn't love this. But then I put it in a Shop My Stash and I couldn't put this down. And I definitely reached for this over the Milani. That is a really good dupe for it. So in terms of like shades and stuff, the Milani is really lovely. But I feel that my Kiko bronzer is also very similar to this. Like the Flawless Fusion one is also a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury. So I don't need to keep 2 dupes. So I'm going to get rid of the Milani. The Makeup Forever Pro Bronze Fusion. I can no longer read the shade in the back because it's rubbed off. This, you want to see an old bronzer? Hold on. Like every single time I show you this, it looks absolutely atrocious. But this is a great Baked Gelée formula, and I do want to keep this. And then I think the number 7 bronzer, this I already put on the chopping block last year, but I ended up pulling this out of my declutter because I was like, oh, it was so pretty. But I haven't reached for it once this entire year, and now that I have the Catrice ones and the Kiko, I really don't need this. So that's now definitely gonna go. And then I have like some OGs over here, and this is also newer. So I'm inclined to keep the OGs because those have gotten a lot of use. Like, there's a huge dent in my Too Faced Milk Chocolate Soleil, and I tend to use this as a contour. I know, it's a bronzer, but this works on me as a contour, so I'll keep that because else I won't have a contour powder anymore. And then I have the Hourglass Radiant Light Ambient Lighting Powder. And this has always been a go-to combination for me in the summertime. So that I cannot break up. Hula Light. I'm not sure what to do with this, because I feel that Hula Light and the Balm's Oliver are quite similar. And I prefer the Balm over this, but the Balm has been discontinued. This hasn't. So why should I declutter this? Because in a few years' time, if I ever use up the Balm one, this is going to be my replacement for it. So it would be a shame to get rid of it now, because then I would just end up repurchasing this at some point, which would be a bit of a waste of money and product. So, and it's powder, and powders can last for a very long time if you keep them in a dry, dark spot. So I think I'm just going to hang on to it because I do like that. The Beach bronzer has been my pink bronzer of choice, or like reddish tone bronzer. Because I have a cool to neutral undertone, I just prefer it if my bronzers pull a bit more yellow rather than red. So that's why this always gets to stay. And then I think I'm going to get rid of the H&M one. This is their bronzer in sheer tan. And actually, I repurchased this because I decluttered it a few years ago. But then this year, I decided I was going to do a full face of H&M makeup. So I repurchased it, and I was like, oh yes, this is why I like this product so much. But look at it, looking at everything I'm keeping, this is not special enough for me to go like, wow, I really, really want to keep that. So I'm going to declutter it. It's a good bronzer though. It's really good. And then we have two glowy numbers. It's going to be Between the Glow. Do I want to keep the Too Faced Sweethearts bronzer? I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't wear both of these all that much. Like, I don't really think about these. This has a bit of nostalgia for me because it was that time where Too Faced was all the rage, and I love this in the summertime for sure. More so than I do this. But this is the only pinky tone bronzer. But then again, when I use this, I use it as a blush. And I have plenty of blushes, as you'll see in a minute. So I think I'm just going to get rid of the Catrice, and I'll keep the Too Faced. Okay, so this is what we're getting rid of. And I think I did better than I had expected. So I started off with 36, and I'm keeping 20, and I'm getting rid of 16, because that's how many we have going on here. So I think that getting rid of 16 is nearly half. I did a good job in the bronzer department. What do you guys think? Right, so we're moving on to highlighters. Again, I've roped in all of the liquid and the creams at the bottom, and then we just have all the powders. It barely fits into the frame. That's how much we have. So there's definitely a couple of things that I know I can get rid of. For instance, over here, the Ofra Pillow Talk highlighter. I just don't like this kind of shade anymore. And if I'm going to reach for something that's pink and light, I now have a perfect replacement for it in this Dior highlighter. This is the Dior, what's it called? Forever Couture Luminizer in Pink Glow. And this is so, so pretty on fair skin. It's absolutely phenomenal. It does have a bit of visible sparkle, but really pretty. An OG favorite for me is the Kiko Glow Fusion highlighter. Everything that comes in this like silvery packaging from Kiko, I just adore. And this has a huge, huge dent in it, as you can see. This is in the shade 01. It's great, great for fair skin people. Actually, I think that I'm going to go down to the bottom first here because it's going to be easier for me to get rid of some of these liquid things because I have some very good firm favorites here. And that's definitely not all of it. This, like the bronzer that was by Catrice in this dropper style, this is also dried out in the highlighter version, so I can no longer use it even though it was very pretty, but that's gonna go. Also, this H&M Do It All stick is gonna go. It was very pretty, but I didn't love the texture of this on my cheeks, so that's gonna go. I am going to be keeping my Glossier Halo Scope because I do really like this. This is in the shade Quartz. These two minis, I'm gonna have to take a decision on which ones I want to keep. And these three I'm going to keep. So the Lisa Eldridge Elevated Glow, the Armani Fluid Sheer Glow Enhancer, and the Rare Beauty highlighter. This is in the shade Cosmic Rose, this is in shade 7, and this is in shade Mesmerize. And these I all love and adore, so these are not going anywhere. But I will be decluttering both of these. So this is the Essence Glow Glow Go liquid highlighter, it just wasn't my favorite. And also the Glow Mon Amour by L'Oreal, it was really lovely, but it started to separate on me. And to be quite fair, it is perhaps a little bit too golden toned for my preference. And these two minis, I think I want to keep, not only because I have the space now, but because I also feel they do something slightly differently. The What's Up is a little bit more of a summer shade for me, and this is Lit by Milk, because that's what we're looking at here. It's a very similar shade, but actually I find that this is a little more soft focus and a little less shiny. So it's like everyday glow versus high shine glow, and I like having these kind of options in my makeup collection. So that's why I do want to keep both. And then finally we have this ColourPop Super Shock Cheek in the Happy Thoughts from the Tinkerbell collection. This I have yet to put on my face, so I don't know yet whether I like it. I've decided this is going to be the last time I'm going to be trying a ColourPop Super Shock for the highlighters. I like them as blushes, but as highlighters I've ended up decluttering every single one. But so many people were raving about this shade that I was like, I do want to really try this. So I've now been able to move some things into frame that you couldn't really tell were there because they were just out of frame. But I have one other sort of like other format kind of a highlighter here. This is a sample of Sydney Grace's Black Tie. Yes, it's that shade on the skin, so it's sadly way too dark for me, so it's gonna go. Of these two Catrice ones, I'm going to declutter one and I'm going to keep one. These were from a recent limited edition collection. They're Beauty Advent whatever shop thing. And this pinky toned one is a little bit too deep for me, I'm afraid. But their lilac version was really interesting, so I definitely want to play around with that more. And it's really nice, cute, small packaging. The Kiko Fruit Explosion highlighter in Lost in Rose was sadly far too dark for me, so this is gonna be decluttered. I'm going to be keeping my two Benefit ones, so I have Dandelion Twinkle and Cookie. I feel that these are essentially the same shade, but in different strengths of glow. So Cookie is far more glowy and high shine than Dandelion Twinkle is. So like I said with some of the liquid highlighters already, I like having a glowy option and a softer focus option. So that's what these do. Right, so we're getting a little bit too bright, so I had to change the settings on my camera a little bit. I have another Super Shock from ColourPop. This is from their Disney Villains collection, and I've always kept it in the box to get as much longevity out of it as possible, because this is just pressed into a pan. But I've always really liked the packaging more so than I like the actual product. And when I swatch this, it has a pretty weird yellow undertone. So that's why this wasn't perfect for me. This is what has been the case for me with a lot of my Super Shock highlighters, that the undertones, that like they all leave a bit of a weird cast for me. So that's why this is gonna go, but because it has beautiful packaging, I am going to keep it in my Makeup Memories box. NARS Fort de France, not going anywhere. One of the very few golden toned highlighters I actually really like. So this is gonna stay. Another favorite, but then in the peach realm, is my Nabla Skin Glazing highlighter in the shade Privilege. So this is not going anywhere. I have this Annabelle highlighter. This is their Holo Lighter in the shade Pegasus. And this is one of those peachy pink duochromes. And as I was swatching my highlighter collection when I did my video, where I showed you every single highlighter and I showed you all the swatches, I felt that I had a lot of these kind of shades, actually. So I'm not sure whether I should still keep this around. Not entirely sure. What should I do? Not sure. This is a maybe. But for sure I'm keeping my discontinued Urban Decay highlighter in the shade Aura. This has a huge dent, as you can see, and it's like my softer focus version of what's lying over here. So let's go over there. So this is the Becca Prismatic Amethyst. Becca is no longer in business. Now you can see a little bit how big of a dent I have in this. So it's good to have that. And then these, I'm just going to make sure that I pull these out because these Becca Vanilla Quartz, we have Rose Quartz, and we have Pearl. These are all going to stay because they're my favorites. Now we were talking about Prismatic Amethyst, and I actually have another dupe for it that you can still buy because both Prismatic Amethyst and the Urban Decay have been discontinued. But H&M Beauty does a highlighter in the shade Aurora Blush. And guess what? It's a dupe. So if you like that lilac-y kind of flash, then definitely try this. It's also far more affordable than those two are. Because I already have two of those, I don't feel the need to keep this around per se. So even though it's lovely, I just need to cut down this collection because I've got way too much. And I'd rather stick to an old favorite and pass on something that's newer to me, because then somebody else will be able to get use out of it for sure. My Fenty Beauty Diamond Balm. I love this, so this is gonna stay. Now this Juicy Pang one I liked. Yeah, I like that Appear one a lot because it's more like that cream to powder and it's got more of like a sheer base. Whereas the other one is more like just a pink flash. So maybe the holo lighter has had its day and I've replaced it with this, I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to keep the K-Beauty one and I'm getting rid of the holo lighter. This Essence highlighter I pulled out of like the depths of my makeup collection because this one is actually just in my collection to have a Essence highlighter, but I actually have something newer by them. This is the Kissed by the Light Illuminating Powder, and this is in their latest collection. It's the same kind of thing as that bronzery shade that I got rid of, but this is more of a highlighter on me, so maybe keep this because it's newer. And then get rid of this. I'm also going to be keeping this Catrice highlighter, even though I kept another one. But this was my replacement for ColourPop's Flexitarian. This is a gel to powder formula. It's very similar to something like you get in the Dior, but it's Catrice. I don't know how they do it. Very pretty, very lovely, and I love going back to this. Now I told you about liking soft focus and more shiny things, so I showed you the Nabla in Privilege. And I feel that this is my peach toned highlighter that's more soft focus. So that's why the Too Faced in Ray of Light gets to stay. And I don't have anything that's like a white gold. I have Pearl from Becca, but that's a straight up white. And where this Annabelle highlighter, their Perfect Glow in Topaz, looks white in the pan, you can tell I have a huge dent here, it has a gold flash. So that's why I want to keep this around. Still have these swatches on my hand. The KVD Beauty eyeshadow in Thunderstruck I also felt was similar to this sort of like peachy pinky sort of vibe, and yeah, I like this so much better. It's got more of a warmer undertone and I like that better than the Annabelle one for sure. So again, justified that we're getting rid of the Annabelle, but I'm keeping the KVD. The Kiko one that I have here sadly was far too dark. This is also from their Precious Rituals collection. You'll see some more of this in the blushes, and look at this. This is in the shade Copper and Calm. This is why I don't buy a lot of like Kiko limited edition stuff, because very often it's just too dark for me. And then we have the Prism highlighter from the same, and I believe this is very similar actually to a highlighter we still have coming up, but it's in a duo. So this is actually really lovely, and it's this like pink to gold. And this is actually very similar to the highlighter that's in the Natasha Denona Love Cheek Duo. OG, Mary Luminizer. A favorite. I've hit pan. Look at that dent. So this is not going anywhere. And I also cannot get rid of my Fenty Beauty Kilowatt highlighter in Lightning Dust and Fire Crystal. We've got some pan. Hourglass Iridescent Strobe Light is another one of my favorites. I know not a lot of people like these highlighters from Hourglass, but I love them. And I also really like my two MAC ones. I have Show Gold. This is again, like this is why I can get rid of the Natasha Denona for sure. Because I feel that this is in the same vein again as that Natasha Denona one that we'll see in a minute. And then we have Double Gleam by MAC, which is also great. Melt Stargazer, no, Morning Star. This is their Digital Dust highlighter in Morning Star. Loved it as well. Okay, so I've made it a bit easier for me to reach. Do you just see that these all look like the same thing in the pan, but this swatch is really light. You can see it a little bit in here in the M where I've been putting my finger in the most. So this one just confuses me, and it's really big, so I think it's just time for me to get rid of this. I have two other Catrice highlighters, so I'm good when it comes to Catrice highlighters. And then I have these two. And I know that this Dior one works a lot better on me than the Charlotte Tilbury does. I now have a new Dior highlighter, so maybe I'm just going to get rid of this. Because I would reach for the Charlotte Tilbury because it's a little softer over the Dior one because it's a bit more golden toned, and I don't love golden toned highlighters on myself. So I'm going to get rid of the Dior. I'm going to keep the Charlotte. And then we have my Kaleidos and one more Catrice highlighter. Actually, we'll talk about that in a minute. And I've actually decided that I'm going to get rid of the ones that are too similar to other things I already have. So I have quite a few of these like lavendery shifting kind of highlighters. So I know I can get rid of Moon Cruiser because it doesn't really add anything to my collection. The same thing for Star Surfer. This is their peachy toned one. I have other peachy tones that I just prefer a bit better. Comet Catcher flashes a really strong pink, which is also not my favorite. Plus it looks very, very similarly once applied to Mars Melter. So I'm going to keep Mars Melter. And I'm going to keep Diamond Dasher because that was my favorite one of these. And then Mars Melter. So I'm going to get rid of those three. And then of these two, the Gifted one was far more successful for me. But this can still be very pretty as an inner corner highlight or as an eyeshadow because these are intense enough that you don't have to use them on the cheeks. You can apply them elsewhere. So, and these are really special. So I do want to keep the two multi-chrome ones. And then this Glow Lover I was really impressed with. It was a very nice soft focus highlighter. This is new in Catrice's collection. They just came out with it. And it had a really lovely shade for my fair skin. May not work for you if you have a deeper skin tone than I do, but this was lovely indeed. So that's why this is going to stay. So we started off with 50 different highlighters. I'm decluttering 18 and I'm keeping 32. Okay, so when it comes to blush, we're going to tackle this in two batches. I have most of my powder blushes still in its container. What you're looking at right now are larger blushes, which are mainly like duos and things like that, or like really glowy things that I sort of kept outside of my, like outside of the organizer that I use to store all my blushes. And then I have all of my creams and liquids. And creams and liquids is where I've expended the most. And since I've been trying things, not everything didn't necessarily work out. So that's why I know I'm going to get rid of some things here. Let's just start with one of my least favorite products I tried in 2021, and it's these cheek dews from ColourPop. So these I'm going to declutter, both of them, because they were very patchy. But in terms of liquid blush, I really enjoyed the Juicy Pang blushers from Appuy. These are a K-beauty brand, and I feel they are up to par with the M Cosmetics, and they have far easier to use packaging than these do. But I love these shades, so I'm going to keep these 4, and I'm also going to be keeping these 2. This is in raspberry, this is in strawberry, and I definitely want to buy like 2 of these, 2 more of these. And then the M Cosmetics, I know I have Cherry Splash, Venetian Rose, Pink Nectar, and Rose Milk. That's what these shades are. Of these like liquidy things, I am going to be decluttering the Milani Cheek Kiss. I didn't really like the shade of this on me, so that's why this is gonna go. And also these 3 I'm going to get rid of. The Made by Mitchell Blush in the shade Where's the SPF. It's a really cool shade, but it's so intense. It's very difficult to control, and then you still look a bit like a clown. So while this is lovely, I really appreciate the shade, I don't need this. And then I have 2 of these sticks. I have another H&M Do It All stick. This is in the shade Pearl. No, that was the highlighter. This is in the shade, what's it, something berry. And like the highlighter shade, I wasn't in love with this, the way it applied. And I felt the same way about the Revol blush stick. It's a pretty shade, but it is a little bit that cheap blush stick kind of formula. So I didn't love those. But I did really like these 2. The Charlotte Tilbury Glowgasm Beauty Light Wand in the shade Pingasm. Yes, I have that. It's really lovely. And this is the Rare Beauty Liquid Blush in the shade Grace, which indeed, it takes a little bit of getting used to really get this to like blend in the way you might like. But when you are quick enough to work with this, it's really lovely on the cheeks. So those are going to be the liquid blushes that I'm keeping. So then over here we have like the remainder of my cream cheeks, you could say. So let's talk about that first, because I definitely don't need to keep everything. This Milk Makeup Stick in the shade, what was this again? Quickie. It's actually really pretty, but I feel I have a similar shade in, that's actually a cream to powder by MAC that you'll see in my singles in a minute, that I actually prefer over this, so this is gonna go. Then of these cream ones, the Tower 28 in the shade Happy Hour. This I really like. It's a really nice, vibrant, corally shade, and I have found that in cream blush, I like it if the shade is a little bit more outspoken, so that's why I really like this. As well as the cream blush from Fenty Beauty. This is their Cheeks Out cream blush in Strawberry Drip. And this is like the more pinky tone version of that one. But this Milani Cheek Kiss, I did really like this. It's a really good formula. Very reminiscent of the Tower 28. This is definitely a dupe sort of for the formula of the Tower 28. I just don't reach for these rosy toned blushes all that often in a cream, because I have a lot of this already in my like powder singles. So I don't need this, I feel, so this can go. And if I want to go for that shade, I would go for my Charlotte Tilbury Lip and Cheek Glow in the shade Color of Dreams. Like, this is a little bit better for me. It's a bit deeper, but that's why it works. And then I really like my Rare Beauty cream blush in Nearly Rose. This is a really nice, like, bright pinky shade. And then if I want to go for a neutral, I really like the Jelly Dough blusher from Holika Holika. This is a K-Beauty brand. This has been my favorite, like, neutral, nudie toned cream blush, if I want to go for that look. And then the Melt cream blush in the shade Honey Thief. I haven't really used yet. I haven't put it on my face, but it looks really pretty, so can't wait to try it. And then finally here we have the Giorgio Armani Neo Nude Melting Color Balm for cheeks and eyes in the shade 50 something mauve. And this is another great neutral for me. So I have a couple of neutral options. And I think I can get rid of this Juicy Pang one. I prefer their liquid blushes over this. This is in the shade Red Apple. It's really pretty, but it's not a shade I go for a lot. If I go for a reddish toned cream blush, I tend to go for these ColourPop ones from the Wine and Only collection. And then because I like these so much, I did order myself some more just to try out some different shades. I have found that, is it this one? No, it's this one. This is the shade Cheerio. That this, even though it looks like it's going to be very intense, if I use a light hand, I can make it work. And in terms of formula, this has my preference over the matte. But this is in Cruel Intentions, and I do really like the shade of this. So I do want to keep this around for the shade, not necessarily the formula. And then of these, I'm going to get rid of Brute Flute, because I didn't feel this did enough for me. It's just, I don't know, it's a bit warm. I didn't love it. And then I did end up buying a couple of things that I heard a lot of people raving about. I bought Chiffon, which I'm not sure I like it, because this was recommended by Angelica Nukvist, and she definitely has a different preference in terms of blushes than I do. But I thought I could give it a whirl, but this may not be my favorite. I don't know. And then I also got the Magic Moon blush from the Tinkerbell collection. And I actually think the way I had kind of envisioned it, especially now that I've swatched these, haven't put them on my face yet, is that these can make for some lovely combinations. So this is a base layer and this on top, because this is a very sheer formula. It doesn't have a lot of pigment to it, I feel. So these can make it for a nice combo. So I'm keeping 19 cream blushes and we're getting rid of 10. Am I saying that correctly? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, we're getting rid of 10. We're keeping 19. So that's about a third gone. So then we're moving on to this section, and these are the things that were a little bit too big for my organizer where I keep all my blushes. So that's why I decided to sort of rope these in with the creams and the liquid. So we have this, the Natasha Denona Cheek Duo. And I already referenced this in my highlighter section of this video. Because I love the highlighter in here, but I can't get it to pick up with a brush for the life of me, even though it swatches beautifully. And I feel that the cream, after just a year of owning this, is already drying up. So I really like the packaging of this, though. So I'm gonna keep it around in a Makeup Memories box, but this is going to count as decluttered. I do really like my Natasha Denona Duo Glow in the shade Rayo. This is like Benefits Coralista, but more pink. It's really lovely, so I want to keep that. And I also want to keep my M Cosmetics Heaven's Glow powder in the shade Magic Hour. I think Magic Hour is like the best shade name this could have had. This is really lovely on, and I would like to definitely try some more of these. And I'm also going to be keeping my Pat McGrath Labs Divine Blush in the shade, what's this called again? Divine Rose. And I'm going to have to keep this off to the side because this is now a mauve tone blush that I would like to put up against some of my other mauve tone blushes in a minute in my like singles compacts, because I have this kind of shade a million times over in my blush collection. So I definitely need to cull a few and see which ones I like best. The Ofra Chiclet Blush Duo from Ofra's collab with Samantha March. I love Samantha's channel. I really like her and what she's done here, but unfortunately a lot of the products she released looked a little dark for me, and I wanted to try something, and then I bought the blush, and I can make it work, but it's just not my kind of blush shade really, and it's too deep for me as well, so I need to use a very light hand. So this is a bit of a faff to use, which is why I'm going to be decluttering this. What I won't be decluttering is Cover FX's duo in Mojave Mauve. So here we go with the mauves, but this is very pink toned. So I know this is not that similar to other mauve tone blushes I have because it is so pink. This little guy, I love the packaging on the Kimchi Cheek blushes for sure, and I wanted to try some products from the brand because it looked very intriguing. This is the Thaler blush in Pinky, and I found the texture to be quite lovely. This was a very pretty shade on. It's just nothing special in my makeup collection, which is why I'm going to declutter this. And I've decided that I'm going to be decluttering both of my Becca Cosmetics Champagne Splits, Prosecco Pop and Champagne Pop. Those are the highlighters. This is Pamplemousse and this is Flower Child. I have these blush shades a lot in my collection as well, and the highlighters are a bit too dark for me, but I always kept these around because Champagne Pop was such a popular shade. But now that Becca has gone out of business, I don't feel the need to hang on to these. And then we have one of my favorite things for the summertime, the Summer of Love Triple Break Bronzer by Makeup Revolution in Love Hot Summer. I've always called this my one-stop shop for hot weather, but I can't remember the last time I used this. I think it's been 2 years since I last used it, and I think it's time for me to declutter this. So I'm gonna say goodbye to it. And then finally we have the Too Faced Sweethearts Blusher in Peach Beach. And this I would much rather use than the Makeup Revolution one. So I do really like this. But again, I have a lot of peach tone blushes. So I'm going to have to put it up against because I have come into some new glowy blushes that may be very similar or maybe even better than that. So let me lay out the remainder of my powder blushes. Are you ready? And what I'm going to try and do is not to just do it willy-nilly as with the bronzers and the highlighters, but to do it by shade. So I'm going to make some shade groupings here. I have everything separated out. We've got purples over here. We've got some reds over there. This is the soft pinks. It's very soft pinks and peaches. And then I have all of my mauve tones in the back. All of my neutrally blushes, which I've divided up into cool tones, glowy things, darker things. And then these are sort of like the standard ones. So we definitely need to get rid of some of those. These are the peaches as we're going to start off with, and then I don't think you can see all of it to the left here, but I've got like my vibrant shades here. I've got some bright pinks, and then I have like plummy things, corally things, warm pinks, and things that are actually too deep for me. So that's what we've got going on. So let's get cracking on these blushes. So when it comes to peachy shades, I like quite a lot of peachy blushes, but now that I sort of have all of this laid out, I'm not sure I need to keep all of these because I already got rid of a few of these last year. Oh, this is upside down, and there's definitely a couple of firm favorites here, along with the Too Faced. And now that I look at everything that's going on, I think I just kind of prefer if my peach blush has a bit of glow. So I do really like to keep Peach Beach for sure. So I've already decided on that. I'm going to be keeping Buzzkill from Melt. This is one of my newest peachy blushes. Got it in the Black Friday sale. Really like it. But this H&M one in Cantaloupe, I've had this for a while, and I remember doing my swatches in my blush collection video and thinking, I think it's time for this to go. So this is going to be decluttered. The blush lighter from Essence, this is one of my favorite Essence blushes, so this is not going anywhere. I am going to keep Swiss Dot from the Balm, because I don't want to break up my The Balm cheek collection. But this is not a kind of shade I'll wear. This is too orange for me, so this is going to go into a Makeup Memories box, because that's where all of my The Balm products go. And I have the entire Instain collection, so I don't want to break it up, but I know I won't reach for this shade, so... It was fun while I had it, you could say. Tarte Aciote. Am I going to get rid of this? It's more of like a corally shade, but we've got some brighter corals over here that I like far better than I do this. And if I go for a coral, I go for something like Coralista. So, ooh, am I really gonna do this? It's a maybe for now. I'm gonna think about it, but I'm skewing yes. And then the Mini Gold Rush from Benefit, I do want to keep. That's a really nice glowy peachy blush. This is what I was saying. I love a peachy glowy blush. And this Catrice Box Blush in Dolce Vita, it's my favorite shade from this line. So if I'm going to keep one of these, I'm definitely going to be keeping this one. Because this is sort of like lying here. We'll do the bright pinks. So I'm not going to get rid of this, because this is my matte bright pink, Instain by the Balm in Lace. And then I have the MAC's Dilly Dolly, and this is very glowy, and it's got a bit of a like golden flip to it, so I like that. And I'm also not going to get rid of my Dior Rosy Glow Blush. I love pairing this with lace, actually. And then over here we have this random section here, which are the purpley blushes, actually. So I have Bittersweet from Urban Decay. I'm definitely going to keep it. I haven't seen a blush shade like this ever again, so this is not going to go anywhere. And I always liked topping this guy over it. So this is the Wet n Wild Ombre Blush in a purple haze, because like with the bright pinks, I really like how this has a bit more glow, and it has that cute ombre effect, but I'm going to declutter it because I now own this blush from Melt in Electra. And this is one of their Blush Light blushes. And this has the same effect as the Wet n Wild. It's a bit more purple, and I think it can pair with the Urban Decay even better. Plus, this works by itself. So I'll keep that. And then I have my Etude House lovely cookie blusher in the shade Lavender Lemon Macaron. And this is more like a soft pink, so it kind of moves us into this, perhaps. But it's like between a pink and a purple, I would say. And I really like this in the wintertime, so this is not going anywhere. You know that I haven't really reached for any of these. This is one of the new Too Faced Love Flush blushes in No Ordinary Love. So they came out with these soft pastel-y shades, and this is the shade I went for. I find that the formula is different than on the OGs. The OGs were a little bit more hardly pressed. This has a lot more of like a powdery kick up, but it was very pretty. And then in terms like a true baby pink, this is Argyle from the Balm. I don't have anything like it, so I definitely want to keep that. And then I have Balm Beach, which is that soft, peachy pink, barely there kind of thing. Shall I swatch these side by side just for a minute so that we can perhaps see if these are anything alike? Oh yeah, I think these are quite similar. Oh, the Too Faced has a bit of glow. So this, I think I'm going to keep all three of them. And then we have my red blushes. And here again, I think I can get rid of some. The Rival Hearts Me Rouge Powder in Pink Grapefruit. I used to own this blush, and I decolored it because it got old. And I feel that this isn't the same as the blush I used to have, even though the brand says it is. So it's far more pink, it's not as red, not as I remember, and the texture also seems differently. So that's why I'm going to be decluttering this. And then of these, this is a tough decision because I don't wear my red blushes all that often, but these are different undertones. So let me show you what I mean. The top two. So this is Diffused Heat from Hourglass. This is Bang from Urban Decay. This is Toile from The Balm. And this is Natural Beauty from Tarte. And then these are a bit more pinky. And these are much more orange toned. So similarly to the pinky purpley shades that I like combining, I actually really like the combination of these in the summertime. And this is really great on its own. And then I've always liked these more so in the winter time because they have that pinky undertone. But I actually think which one do I like better? Ooh, they're very different. So this is the Tarte and this is the Balm. Am I saying that correctly? I don't know. But you can see that they have a different undertone here. So that does mean that I feel I can keep both. So, blushes that are too dark for me. These are easy declutters for me. The Kiko Precious Rituals blush in Copper Infusion. If you have a deep skin tone, I'm sure it's lovely. But on me, it didn't really work. Right, so then we're moving on to like my corally and like warmer, deeper pinks that I've got going on. And I know right off the bat that the blush from Essence is one I'm going to be decluttering. This is in the shade Breathtaking, and the reason why this is going to go is because I've simply forgotten this existed in my collection. And then we have the Catrice blush box in the shade Warm Soul. This I believe came out for their fall winter collection last year. And this, when you see it in store and it's still in pristine condition, it looks very differently. I find the shade you actually get, it's more like a Benefit Coralista Kiss of Pink kind of shade than a nudie kind of shade, I feel. Definitely has some pink running through it. It was pretty, but this is just not the kind of shade I reach for. So again, I'm going to be decluttering this. And this Bare Minerals bronzer in the shade Kiss of Pink. This was a great find. I really like this. If I want to go for a warmish pink, this is the shade I go for. So this is a keep. As is Coralista. I go back to this every summer. Has Major Pan. Can you still get this? I don't know, but it's a perfect shade, so I'm going to keep that around. And then we have one from H&M. This is in the shade Vintage Pink. And this is, again, it's perhaps a little bit more of a nudie pink, but I didn't want to put it with the nudes because it is more pink than any of those. And I've decided that I want to get rid of this because I liked one of the cooler tone pinks that I got from H&M much better than I do this. And then I was very surprised with this, actually. This is the Cheek Lover blush from Catrice in the shade Blooming Hibiscus. And I thought it was going to be way too dark. But, oh, as you can see, when it catches the light, it has a really nice glowy finish. It's very reminiscent of something like Benefit's Coralista. Not gonna lie. Nars's Orgasm, the Balm's Hot Mama, those kind of things. But this is a bit more wearable on my skin tone, I find. So this is going to stay. It's like my replacement for Warm Soul. And then I have two here from the Balm. We have Third Date. And this is their recyclable packaging. And this is actually really pretty, so I think I do want to keep this. I haven't used it a whole lot. And this I already decluttered last year, and I put it back in because it was like, I need to just get some more use out of it. And you get that similar shade to the Catrice that I just showed you, but then it has a duo with this really strong, weird, lavender, highlightery kind of shade that you can top over it. So this is a duo. It's a highlighting shadow and blush duo in the shade Beachgoer. It's pretty, but I just don't really see myself reaching for this. But like with the Instain in Swiss Dot, I know I won't be breaking up my The Balm collection, so this is going to go into a Makeup Memories box. Let's do the bright shades first. So I have these shades that are bright. And these are all corals, save for the MAC blush in the shade Rosy Cheeks. The Rosy Cheeks is a really pretty blush. It perhaps looks a bit intense for someone with my fair skin, but with a light hand. Stunning! Then I have MAC's. This is one of their Glow Play blushes in Heat Index. And this got me back into MAC blush, actually. And I really like it, so that's going to stay. But I am going to be decluttering my Milani blush in the shade Coral Cove. I have too many of these things anyway, and I really don't need this. I'm going to be keeping Lola, which is like a reddish toned watermelon pink. with a bit of glow. And then I have Incandescent Electra from Hourglass, which is really lovely too. Do I need to keep this? We're gonna keep that. And then the Too Faced Love Flush Blush in How Deep Is Your Love. Do I need to keep this? I think I'm going to declutter this. Because yes, it's that watermelon pink, but I just don't think I'd read through this a whole lot, even though I do really like it. I'll put it on the maybe pile, like the Tarte. And then we have plummy shades. And here, again, I think I can get rid of a few things. The Ciate blush in Matchmaker is definitely not going anywhere. Where's the opening? This is a very soft plummy blush, but I really like it, so this is gonna stay. And also this MAC blush in the shade Rosie Does It is really, really pretty. But this, the Catrice blush box in the shade It's Wine O'Clock, I'm going to declutter. I like it, but it's a bit deep for me, and I don't, like, I have one of these now, I'm good to go. And then Rapture from Urban Decay I am going to keep, which is really lovely in the fall time. It's more like a berry look. And this, the Instain blush in Pinstripe. Again, I wanted to own it so I could complete the Instain collection. But this is not necessarily my shade. It's a bit too brown. And I would reach for the Urban Decay over this for sure. So this is gonna go into a Makeup Memories box. So now we move into the mauve tone things, which, as you can see, I've got a type. And I bought this towards the end of 2021, and I knew, no, I got it in Sephora in France, so I got it around the summertime. And this is just such a lovely formula that I'm now like, do I need to keep all of this? So these are more like the standard ones. These are glowy, these are cool tones, and these are deeper things. So that's the thing, like, do I want to keep all of these things? So I think of these deeper ones, I'm going to keep Pillow Talk by Charlotte Tilbury, for sure, because this, it's deeper, it's still mauve toned, but it works. And then this Kiko one, I'm going to declutter it. I thought I was going to put one of these in my Makeup Memories box because it has such pretty packaging, but this is just a little bit too dark for me as well, so this is gonna go. Let's tackle the cool tone things first. So again, I have one here from Revol Heartsme, the Rouge Powder in Vintage Rose, which is just as powdery and patchy as the Grapefruit shade, so this is gonna go. But I did put my ColourPop Vogue blush in a different compact, which is over there, and I put the blush that was in that compact into here. So this is Plush Like Me from the Orchid You Not collection. So this is actually a much better mauve tone for me. You can definitely see that the ColourPop is just more purpley than this is. So that's why the ColourPop gets to stay. And then I have an OG favorite. This is Mood Exposure. That's very soft. And then I just recently bought Cameo Pink from H&M. Oh, it's so pretty. And these are softer, more cool toned. Like, it's sort of like in between a mauve and a plum, but do you just see that these are pretty much identical? I think I'm just going to go with the Hourglass, and I'm going to declutter the H&M. And then I have two glowy ones, and I think I want to keep both, because I don't have that many things with glow in this department. So I have Raw Honey from Melt, and this is why I bought Buzzkill, because I love this shade so much. So this is going to stay. And then this is the Kiko Mood Boost Perfect Mauve Radiant Blush. This was really pretty on. And then we have my standard ones, and not all of these are mauve. We'll get to that in a minute. And this one from Urban Decay is not a mauve tone one. This is Video, which is a brown. And I've decided that I don't need brown blush in my life, so this is going to go. It's the first time I'm decluttering one of these Urban Decay ones, because they're getting a little old, but I want to keep the shades I love. Tawny Peach from H&M, the OG. This is what got my love train for these sort of tones started. It's again a little bit more brown toned, but I really like this, and I want to keep a H&M blush around because I do really like these, so that is going to stay. Tarte Seduce is one of my favorites, so that's going to stay. Kiko, the Shade Fusion, is that what it's called? Shade Fusion Trio Blush. I never know where the opening is with these. But this was discontinued, so I do want to keep that because that's one of my perfect shades. Now, I put the Vogue blush from the other packaging into here so I could declutter the packaging because I prefer the cardboard packaging over this plastic. So this is actually the Vogue blush, and then if you just look at these, they're essentially the same thing. So that's why this can go. Ooh, difficult, difficult, difficult. This has been one of my top 5 favorite blushes for years. I decluttered it last year and pulled it out because I was like, I don't want to get rid of this. But this is not going to stay in my makeup collection because I want to keep a mauve tone blush around from Essence, and I do a lot of full faces of Essence like 2 or 3 times a year. So I know that this is going to get some use, but it doesn't need to stay in my actual collection. Then we got a couple left. I really love the formula of the Lovely Cookie Blusher. Let me just open these up. I really like that formula. This is Baby Love from Too Faced. Really lovely too. In terms of shade, I think that the KVD is closest of these to the Pat McGrath. Because as you can see, these are all a little bit more like neutral. And then we have the In-Stain Blush in Houndstooth. This is one that I've had for a long time. And this has always been a bit dark for me. So I think Houndstooth is an easy declutter. Let me see if we can do a swatch. So just to see what I want to keep from these. So we have the Pat McGrath, KVD, Etude House, Too Faced. So I think this is very similar to the KVD. So I think I'm going to declutter this for sure. You know what? For this round, I'm just going to keep both of them because I love both. I really, really do. And then I still have 2 maybes. And I've decided that, yes, it's time for me to declutter Akiote. I haven't thought of this blush in years, even though it was with the first Tarte blush I ever bought. So I'm going to get rid of a Tarte blush. I still have a neutral and a bright, so I'm good. I'm good. And then, do I want to keep this? I do really like this shade. This has always been my favorite one of these little Too Faced blushes, and it's good to keep it something around in the original formula, I think. You can also tell I've used it more because the lettering has worn off a lot more. So I'll keep this, but I'll get rid of the Baby Love one. So I'm keeping 43 and I'm getting rid of 29 blushes. Wow, I'm actually pretty surprised. I didn't even know I had that many blushes to begin with. These are, of course, I need to pull this over here. But these are the things that are going to go into a makeup memory box. So it's not that much. It's just a collection I don't want to break up. And some things I want to keep around for pretty packaging, or because I always want to keep a nude tone blush from Essence around. And everything else is going to be decluttered. I'm pretty happy with this. So thank you very much for watching my declutter today. This is it. This is the end of this video. I've got 3 more installments coming your way for sure. And at the end of all of these installments, I will be showing you how I reorganize everything into my makeup collection as well. So then I'll show you before and afters of what everything looked like, and I'll put everything back into the drawer. So definitely stay tuned for that. So for now, if you would like to thumbs up the video if you liked it, subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more by me, then I hope to see you in my next video. Have a great day, everybody. Take care. I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.